The Middle Ground is a Star Wars podcast hosted by Max Opasek and Kevin Isaacs. All the media that is discussed in the podcast is owned by Lucasfilm and the Walt Disney Company. The boys' opinions are, well, you guessed it, simply just their opinions. So please tune in, relax, and McClunky.
Back then, I think were more like those kinds of games, at least like cartoony. Kingdom Hearts was more modeled towards kids and everything. But even so, like it's got like some heavy themes, but it's handled in a very innocent way.
Right. I feel like it differs from Star Wars in that way.
Yeah, because Star Wars has like murder and death.
Yeah.
But Kingdom Hearts is like, you gotta unlock my heart to release the light.
Well, yeah, and you know, there's the tone is always consistent across every Kingdom Hearts project, I feel like, where it never gets too dark. It always remains somewhat happy, you know. But with Star Wars, especially what we're going to talk about today, Bad Batch, the tone in here is very much, you know, darker than I'd say Resistance or Rebels, and more in line with Clone Wars. There are still lighthearted elements here, but they're sort of, I don't want to say constricted, they're a bit more subtle in terms of the overall tone.
Yes, which is one of the things I wanted to talk about. Well, first, should we give like how we felt about Bad Batch?
Yeah, you know what? I'll say this before going into this. I believe we talked about it on our Clone Wars retrospective episode. I did not like the Bad Batch. I didn't hate them or anything. I just thought that they were very one note, you know, oh, these are guys, you know, they were cool concept, but in execution, it really was just the big, heavy, dumb guy, the really smart, technical guy, the leader, you know, the quiet, you know, sniper guy.
It felt like we've seen it already, you know.
And not even just in Star Wars, just like other things too. They seemed very one note. So when they announced that there was going to be a show centered around it, I was more excited about the time period it was set in. You know, immediately following Revenge of the Sith. I mean, we've gotten some stories there, but we had never gotten it, at least in the new canon, from the perspective of clones. So that's what I was more excited about. And actually, having seen this now, I'm glad to say that I actually really like these characters now.
Yes.
And I'm very excited to see where it is going forward. So what did you think beforehand?
Beforehand, I shared some of the same sentiment. Like, I liked Hunter. I thought Hunter was an interesting character. And then I liked how Echo was going to join the Bad Batch. I was like, okay, those were really the only two things I was like thinking maybe would be like, I don't know the right word. I don't want to say like cool, but
interesting.
Like interesting, yeah. Because Tech, smart guy, like you said, Wrecker, I want to blow stuff up.
Yeah,
it's like, okay.
It's like I'm not overly fond of that archetype.
Yeah. It's like, okay, I get it. You're a dumb musclehead. Like, I can't tell you how many times I've seen that, like, in media in general.
Yeah, it's mainly used as like a villain trope, not like a character you're supposed to be attached to.
Like the villain's right-hand man or
exactly,
whatever.
Yeah. They call that a heavy.
He goes, yeah, boss. And it's like, okay. But that's pretty much how I felt about Bad Batch. I was like, okay, they're going to do some post Order 66 stuff, hopefully. Because we didn't know like what the time period was for sure until the trailer came out. Or like where they would be, like if it was going to be right at 66 or like, I believe, you know, like a while before.
Yeah, I think people had speculated it would be afterward, but I had theorized that it would be sort of as it was, you know, just in like all like right before, then crossing over to the time period.
Yeah, which I'm glad they did because honestly, I really like how this show is turning out so far.
Me too. I have nothing but positive things to say right now about this show.
There's a couple of like small gripes I still have, but we'll get to that. We should start obviously with just the first episode, and I want to start with the remade opening from Revenge of the Sith.
Okay, yeah, just something that would make me giddy. I think I talked about that in that episode too. I would have loved to have seen a full-fledged Battle of Coruscant, and I mean, I still would like to, because that's something that have only gotten in the 2D animation.
Yeah.
So I'd like something, more concrete and canon. But the fact that they one-to-one replicated the movements of Anakin, Obi-Wan, and Grievous just for those few shots really made me excited. I was that really, what's the word? It really set the bar for how excited I was going to be going forward.
Yes, because I was kind of like, I didn't know what to expect going into it. And
right.
So I was like, I don't know what's going to happen. But then I saw Grievous hit the buttons and the escape pod, and I was like, oh, okay.
That was it was a nice touch is what I guess what I'm trying to get at. And the Clone Wars opening narration is too, because if you're going to watch these chronologically, this would be the next, I guess it would be the next thing you would watch after Clone Wars or Revenge of the Sith is this. So it's a nice little bridge to have Tom Kane do his classic Clone Wars intro. Because I mean, other than Clone Wars, it's really the only Star Wars show that has like an intro. Rebels never really had anything special. It was just the logo. Resistance had probably the worst one. Forces of Destiny had a little something, but I like what they're doing here. And I like how it was just for the first episode too. So I feel like I should just get this out of the way. I want to talk about this more on an episode we're going to do. Talk about everything is canon. Quotation mark, question mark, quotation mark. The Kanan thing. As someone who tries to read every book, comic thing out there because Disney said everything was going to be a part of one cohesive story. It does upset me that they just sort of threw this retcon out there for Kanan, especially because that was the first Star Wars comic series I had ever read. Like I remember when I wanted to get into new canon, I was like, oh, a Kanan comic. Okay, I'll get that, and I'll get the Vader book. So it is kind of special to me, that book. I really, really think it's still good. And their response to the retcon is kind of like, I like it and I don't. And I mean, it doesn't completely bother me that they retconned it, but I would like maybe some statement definitively saying like, okay, the books and comics are ambiguously canon,
Yeah.
If they're going to keep doing it. Because this isn't the first time. They did it with Clone Wars. They did it with Mando. So it's, it's kind of rough.
Yeah, it's like how often can you just like retcon things that people going like, hey dude, like, chill out.
I don't want to get into it too much, but the response from Pablo Hidalgo of Lucasfilm was like, the thing that's canon is that Kanan was with his master on the planet and the clones killed them, and then everything else is sort of like a interpretation depending on how you hear it. Almost like an actual story, because if you were to tell someone a story and pass it down through generations, it's going to change, which I kind of like. But then I'm also like, well, what's the point of reading any of this if the point because I would like to know that my Star Wars shelf is actually like, okay, this is the whole story, not
like this is what's
this might have happened. But anyway, retcons aside, I still think this opening is great. It shows the Bad Batch doing what they're doing, how they're different from the other clones, the quote unquote regs.
Yeah.
And it establishes their free will during Order 66.
Yes, which I liked that a lot. I liked the dynamic between the Bad Batch in the beginning in this whole first episode, really. Specifically with Crosshair after Order 66 gets called. Because you're not really sure if he's affected by it or not.
Yeah.
Because he's trying to kill the Padawan, but it's like, is he just listening to like the Order 66, or is he just trying to actually fulfill like the mission?
Yeah.
So it for the whole like first 30-40 minutes, I was like, or whenever before Crosshair gets like actually,
before he gets amplified.
Yeah, it's like I wasn't sure what was gonna happen with him, because like he's in all the promotional art, like in his armor with the Bad Batch. So I was like, that was the thing that was sort of spoiled for me, because everyone thought that was going to be Commander Cody until I think a toy leaked the description that he had defected, quote unquote. So everyone was like, oh my God, that's Crosshair. Which on the one hand, I kind of get it, because if you had Omega on there too, there would be 6 different characters that you'd all need to write for and have like a interlocking story and personality and everything. So it might have been too much. And I know he's going to pop up again, obviously. But well, I had an issue with Crosshair when he first premiered in Clone Wars. I was like, how does anyone get along with him? Like,
That's true. He does seem like a bit of an outlier.
yeah, like I get that he's like a sniper and everything, but like he doesn't, like he's not, like they're not all like super nice to each other, but like Crosshair's just like a dick to everybody. Like
Yeah.
like they make fun of each other, but it's like, oh, it's like jest. But Crosshair, like I feel like if he got into a fight with somebody, he'd just shoot them.
Yeah, he does seem very brutal in that regard.
So I think that if any character they were to get rid of, it had to be him.
It
'Cause,
couldn't
like,
be anyone else.
Yeah, maybe Hunter, but then like you wouldn't have any of the really honestly some of my favorite character stuff in Star Wars from Hunter.
Mm-hmm. Really?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Like not so much in this first episode, but mainly in the second episode. I'll talk more about that when we talk about the second episode. But in this first episode, I like all the confusion coming from the Bad Batch, because they're not affected by Order 66, but they don't know that that's like that's the inhibitor chip. They're like, something's weird. Like, did the Jedi betray us?
That's yeah.
It's more. It's not like, because like every time we've seen Order 66, it's been like chaos, murder, people dying, Jedi dying.
Yeah.
But this time it's like, yeah, you saw the Jedi die, but now it's like, okay, what now?
Yeah.
And it's like, what do we do now? I mean, the war is over. It was always like that. What would happen to the clones after the war was over? Question.
This show, at least the first 2 episodes, is really playing into the Darkness on Umbara arc, with the whole theme of orders and choice and free will, which is something that I feel the show is greatly benefits from, especially a story being post Order 66 and relating to clones. It is the theme of choice. Hunter chose not to kill Kanan. That was his choice, was to try and reach out to him. And Crosshair, his choice was taken from him when he had the chip amplified by Tarkin. They choose to go, take Omega, and I think at the end of the second episode, Omega chooses to go back with them. Saw and his troopers choose to take a stand. There's a whole big thing about choice in here.
Hunter chooses to send Omega off without her knowing or anything.
Yeah, like the whole thing that makes these clones different thematically is that they are different, but they're different by choice.
Yeah, just like all the arguments that they have with Crosshair throughout Order 66 to when he does get brainwashed. Like, they're like, he's like, good soldiers follow orders. And they're like, since when do we follow orders?
Exactly,
like,
yeah.
Like, since when? Like, every time that scene happened, because I had that conversation essentially happened like 3 times, where they were like, at each other's throats with Crosshair. And I thought it was great. It added like a lot of tension to it.
Yeah, no, I definitely think that the characters are surprisingly the thing I like most about the show, at least so far. Again, because I didn't really I thought they were all pretty one note, but Hunter is really turning out to be a great character.
Yeah.
Echo already was pretty good because, he was a part of the Domino Squad. But
which I think without Echo, Bad Batch would not be as good. Because
you need a straight man.
Yes, Echo, I wrote that down. The Echo is like probably one of the best additions to Bad Batch, because he was a regular clone for his entire life until now, and so he's like, he's respectful to like generals and stuff. At least like when he sees the Jedi, he like salutes her and stuff.
Right.
And it's like, oh, so he still knows how to do things like not so.
He's still got that almost preconditioning in him.
Yeah, which I think is a good thing.
Right.
For the Bad Batch, at least, But speaking of other members of the squad, let's talk about Omega.
Yeah.
Omega.
Yeah, she was one that I thought I didn't know what to think, and thank God she subverted the trope of being the annoying kid, like the little bear from Brother Bear,
yes.
Coda, where he's like, oh, you're supposed to like him because he's little and he doesn't know any better. But she's very sweet in a not, like, I'm going to preface everything I'm about to say with, but not annoying. So she's very sweet, but not annoying. She's, stands up for her friends and everything.
Yeah.
She's defective like them too, and she sort of, Hunter sees himself almost like, I believe they say she is one of the Bad Batch,
Yeah.
Like she was designed. I don't know if she's got the accelerated growth or not, like if she was supposed to be a part of the team.
Mhm.
But he sees a part of himself in her, like a part of, being defective and all
Yeah.
that. He can relate to her, and that's why I like their sort of blossoming mentor father-daughter dynamic.
Oh yeah, I want to get more into that when we talk about episode 2.
Mm-hmm.
Or, but even like we can just talk about it.
Yeah, I
if you
mean,
want.
this is about both
Yeah.
episodes.
So in episode 2, like, I really like Omega. Oh, excuse me. I really like Omega in episode 2. That's probably my favorite part, is the relationship between Hunter and Omega.
That's
episode 2.
That's what that whole second episode's about.
Yes. I like how basically everything you said about Omega. I also like how she's actually like a kid. Like,
Yeah.
the scenes where she first leaves Camino with the Bad Batch, like she sees a ship for the first time, and like she touches ground for the first time.
Yeah, and she's like
and
kicking it around.
Yeah, and I'm like, we never really see that. Like in all of Star Wars, people even call like the Millennium Falcon like a hunk of junk, and she sees the Bad Batch's ship and is like, "This is amazing."
Yeah.
Like it almost feels like if an actual kid were to do and be in that situation, that's how they would react.
Yeah, no, it reminds me of Rey from the first 2 movies she's in, when she's like, I haven't seen this much green in the whole galaxy.
Yeah.
That, and in Last Jedi, when she's under the Millennium Falcon and it's raining and she's like holding out her hand, like feeling the rain, and she's like smiling, and you got to think like, it never rained on Jakku.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
probably the first time she's ever experienced rain in her entire life. Just a neat little character details
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, because every other character we meet essentially has been in this world, experiencing it for as long as we know them, or even beforehand. So, I think Omega is a really good addition. I was kind of unsure because when you put a kid in a show like this, it's like, are they gonna be like they have to keep looking after her, and like do we have to keep like, oh, Omega's got in trouble, let's go save her?
Yeah.
And it's like
She's capable without being like super over capable, where she's like, why does she need the rest of the team type deal.
Yeah, it's I almost see it as if she's a little naive. Like she doesn't know how dangerous the world outside of Camino can be, because all she knows is Camino.
Yeah.
And she's literally at the side of like the head doctor.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna assume from the moment she was cloned,
Right. Yeah.
Just
on a little side tangent, do you think she's Force sensitive? Because there's something special about her, obviously, and we haven't figured it out yet.
So I had 2 theories.
Uh-huh.
I'll let you know what you think about them. Let me know what you think.
Okay.
So my first one was that her modification or whatever from when she was cloned. Have you ever seen Star Trek: The Next Generation?
Parts of it? Are you talking about like the Borg?
No, the doctor on their crew, the ginger lady.
No, actually.
Oh, I don't know if it's her. No, it's a different lady. I don't know the name. I've never seen Star Trek in like full.
You talk about not Counselor Troy, right?
Maybe.
I don't know. Okay, but
anyway,
there's a character on there.
There's a character who can she's like an empath. She can read other people's emotions.
Oh,
that's what I thought Omega
okay.
was. Like she can just kind of feel what people are feeling,
Okay.
But the other theory I had was that they tried cloning a Jedi and tried making a Force-sensitive clone. So maybe like Palpatine was like, "Make me a clone."
That's what I was thinking too. That's my sort of theory. Especially if you want to tie it into The Mandalorian or the sequel trilogy, that would be a good way to do it. Is have the first Force-sensitive clone be as far back as the end of the Revenge of the Sith.
Mm-hmm.
Especially because you got to think especially if she has accelerated growth, she could be like an adult and still be in The Mandalorian.
Yeah, it makes sense because like there's a lot of importance put on her when you see her in these scenes in Camino. Like I said earlier, she literally never leaves the lead doctor's side. It's like, so obviously there's something with her. Like she's not with the other clones. She's a woman. Like,
right. Yeah.
Why make a female clone in the first place?
Just to see if they could.
Yeah. It's just a lot of questions that I'm looking forward to seeing what the answers are.
Right. Yeah. Do you want to get into Tarkin?
But yeah, let's move on to Tarkin.
I want to go on to Tarkin. I think it's genius to bring him in here and be like the quintessential man to usher in the Empire. Because at this point, I think he's not Palpatine's like right hand guy yet, but he was involved with Palpatine quite a bit. Like Palpatine like saw potential in him.
Yeah.
So I think it's pretty genius to throw him in here and have him be the one to negotiate with the Kaminoans, which has a really interesting idea that immediately after Order 66 is issued, he goes to Kamino and is like, yeah, we don't need clones anymore. And they're like, but we have a contract with the Republic. He's like, the Republic's gone. You don't have a contract with the Empire. So I don't know if we even need clones. So there's this whole, it's going back to the Darkness on Umbara, what's going to happen to the clones. There's this whole debate of like, do we even need the clones anymore now that the war is over?
Yeah. Which I saw that whole scene with Tarkin talking about like, we don't need the clones anymore. I saw that as like a test to them, because he was like, we don't need them, we'll just hire guns. And they're like, our clones are better than any hired gun. And he's like, prove it then. Like, I think it was like, prove that you'll still be useful to the Empire, or we're just gonna like jump ship,
And his workaround for that is like they're effective, but they're not obedient.
Yeah, because
again with the whole thing of choice.
Yes, like Crosshair choosing to file a report behind his teammates' back.
Yeah,
that's a big one. I was like, ooh.
Yeah. But he's obedient. That's another thing. The free will and obedience. Just another little thing. Something I noticed was when Palpatine's giving his speech and they're all, witnessing it. This might seem obvious, but it was something I caught on my second rewatch. Was they all have all the other clones have their helmets on, except for the Bad Batch. They're the only clones with an identity, if you think about it, because all the other clones are obedient. They're following Order 66. They're all sort of zealots for Palpatine. They don't have their free will. They don't have their identity. They're all faceless helmets, except for Bad Batch, who have the willingness to take it off and be unique. Which is something neat I noticed.
I was I like that too. I think I noticed that on my second watch through too. Oh, speaking of Bad Batch, since we're talking about I like how Tech has been with them for a while already. I like how he's not Tech, Echo. Sorry.
Okay.
Echo. I like how Echo's like...
He's integrated.
He's like, you can never get used to the smell. I'm like, oh, you'll get used to it eventually.
Oh, yeah.
It's like, oh, I'm glad that he's not like a brand new guy, like kind of like wet behind the ears, like, oh, I don't know how to do things.
You know what?
You guys do.
They probably already had that with Omega, so they probably didn't want to do that again. So they made him a bit more seasoned with the Bad Batch.
I like how Echo has like kind of like PTSD from being in that droid compound too.
Oh yeah, I mean, wouldn't you? I don't blame him at all. Was it in the arc that he had the thing on the back of his head that looks Imperial? Did he?
In Clone Wars?
Yeah, did he have that on his head, or is that new? Because if that's new, that's a nice touch, because that's going to become eventually the thing that Lobot wears, and they show it in Rebels a couple of times, like the data banks on their heads.
Yeah, doesn't it like make them like brain dead or something though? Like they're just actually like cyborgs?
Kinda. Obviously not this one, but eventually, they just become like a walking like data bank. I think Lobot like fully integrated with it, and that's why that happened. I mean, that's basically, I think that's all I really have to say about this episode. I thought it was just a really solid starting point, and like our friend Garrick said, it did not feel like 70 minutes had passed when it was done.
Oh yeah, like I remember like when I was near the end, I'm like, how much time do I have left? And I was like, I've watched like 45 minutes of this already.
Yeah.
It's like it's felt like 15. I've got a couple little things to say that we didn't touch on.
Okay.
Not really things I think we would have like a lot to say about. Kanan as a kid, I don't know why they chose his adult voice actor.
Oh, I forgot to mention that.
That put me off. Like I remember when he was like, "Hey, it's me, Kanan."
Yeah.
And, like, this Padawan that was like 16 jumps out of the. I was like, that definitely distracted me.
It didn't. You can tell they pitched it up like a little bit, but they really either should have gotten a kid voice actor or pitched it up a lot more, because it just sounds like a grown man trying to talk like a child, and Like, all you needed to do was call him Caleb. Like, you really didn't need Kanan's voice actor. Not that he did a bad job of sounding like Kanan. It was just the voice was so off-putting because I think he's like, oh my God, he can't be any older than like 12 right there.
Yeah.
And he sounds like a 40-year-old man.
They could have just chosen like any kid voice actor because you wouldn't know what Kanan sounded like when he was younger, you know.
Yeah.
That was distracting. It didn't ruin anything, but I was like,
no, it was just distracting.
Yeah. After like that intro scene where like he was being chased through the woods, I wasn't bothered by it too much at that point. I did not like Tech and Wrecker together.
No.
I just think they're annoying.
They are the two most annoying, I would say.
Yeah.
I do like Tech more though, because I've always, even as a kid, been partial to like the smart characters. So he doesn't bug me too much. But Wrecker does get a bit much sometimes. Yeah, but they always cut it, at least for me, before it gets overboard, before I start getting very annoyed.
Yeah, I think certain characters in the Bad Batch play off of each other really well, like Hunter and Omega.
Hunter with everyone.
Tech and Echo together. I think they're a good combination because they're both a little more straight.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas Wrecker, it makes sense Wrecker wouldn't get along with, or not get along, but like would kind of butt heads with Tech a little bit more because they're like opposites, you know. But most of the scenes with them together I don't like, but separately, like, I don't mind, you know.
Right.
They're not my favorite, but like,
it's just not an interesting dynamic when it's a meathead and a smart guy.
Yeah, it's like, okay, this isn't like high school, like a jock and a nerd.
Exactly. You know what? That's a really apt comparison.
Mm-hmm.
A jock and a nerd.
Yeah. Tarkin's awesome. He's so good at it. Like, he's such a good choice as the main antagonist for this first episode.
Yeah, I don't think he'll show up again. If he does, I mean, great. Like, Stephen Stanton does a great job voicing him, but I think they might, from what I've seen, there might be like a new Imperial character after them, which I think would work, especially with Hunter, or not Hunter. I always want to call Crosshair Hunter. Because I see the guy with the sniper, and I'm like, oh, he's hunting.
Yeah, I always want to call Echo Tech, because he's got like technology on him and stuff.
And in the Domino Squad, I think he was the one that would be the equivalent to Tech.
Mm-hmm.
He was always echoing the orders in the manual, the regulation manuals is what I meant to say.
Let's see.
Just visually, I think everything is beautiful.
Yeah,
by the way, it's like Clone Wars on crack.
I put that on the number one thing I wrote down. The best animated Star Wars has looked.
Oh yeah.
You
don't like Forces of Destiny? You don't think that looks better?
My next point was I'm sick of Saw Gerrera.
Oh.
Make another Rebel. I'm sick of seeing Saw Gerrera.
Okay, that was the thing. I had a conversation with our buddy John Mando about this, and I mean, I like seeing Saw.
Mm-hmm. He's a good character. Don't get me wrong.
Yes, and I see what you mean. I feel like he fits in everything they've put him in. I just feel like they've put him in so much. Because originally, he was just a Clone Wars character. Then he popped up in Rogue One. Then he popped up in Rebels. Then he popped up in Jedi Fallen Order. Now he's here. And it's like, jeez.
Yeah, like they'll make a new Jedi or whatever for a new story, but they won't make a new Rebel. It's like I like I said, I don't hate Saw Gerrera. Like, I love the Clone Wars arc with him and his sister.
Yeah.
What's that planet?
Onderon.
Onderon. I love that. I think it's a really good Clone Wars arc. But like, I've seen so much of Saw Gerrera. I'm like, come on, dude.
I will say I do like seeing characters either through most of their life or like all the important stages, not just like a few. You know, like Harry Potter. You get to see him when he's a baby all the way to like a teen, and then the epilogue he's an adult. So you get like most of his life, and then I feel like I can connect with him more. So I do like seeing Saw as like a young man, then he gets into like a bitter middle-aged man, and then he's like an angry old man by the time he dies. You know, so you could see his evolution.
Yeah.
Which was jarring when I saw Rogue One, and I'm like, who? This does not feel like the same character from Clone Wars.
I remember seeing Saw Gerrera in Rogue One, and I was like, aw. Yeah.
So, all right, let's get into the second episode. I don't have as much to say as probably you do about this, but I do love the callback to Season 2 of Clone Wars with Cut Up. That's a really It's another one. It's another clone that made a choice. It's the same theme
Oh, yeah.
going through.
I was like, who are you
He
talking
chose to defect
Yes.
from the army, and that's such a deep cut too from Clone Wars. Like he appeared in one episode from a season people generally like to take a crap on.
Yeah, and I remember when I saw him, I immediately recognized him, and I was like, oh, this is cool.
Yeah.
And it was a nice callback. I wasn't expecting at all, but like it makes sense, you know.
Yes, yeah,
like
and it fits.
It seems like a plausible thing that would happen if they were in this position. Like
both literally in the story and thematically too.
yes. I also like how Rex was there like a day before they were.
Yeah, you could tell that's who they're hunting down.
Uh-huh.
They're trying to find, not hunt, I guess. They're trying to kill him.
Which how would you feel if Rex showed up in this?
Oh, I think they showed him in the trailer.
Oh, that's right.
Oh, yeah.
Don't remember the trailer.
You don't watch the trailers? No.
I didn't watch it 30 times. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no. I don't know
can't-
how early he might be in the next one. I don't think there's like a description or anything for the next episode, but I don't know what he would be doing other than maybe trying to find clones like the Bad Batch. Like maybe that's how he finds Gregor and Wolf.
True.
He's trying to find other clones that don't want to outright betray the Empire like the Bad Batch do, because by Rebels he's still on good terms with them.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, it'll be interesting to see where he's going forward. But I wonder why maybe he went to, I don't think they explained it. Maybe he went to Cut to try and like recruit him or be like, hey, like,
Or maybe he was
come with
warning
me.
him, like, hey,
oh,
like things are gonna be changing.
okay, yeah. But that was another thing I liked in the second episode, was like you could see in the first episode the Imperial transition for the clones, and in this one you could see the Imperial transition for the citizens. Like with
Yes.
the what do they call it? The identity code, or like the code line. You needed to like get like you're basically like a social security number for the Empire.
Yeah, like they were making a database of every citizen
Yes,
in the galaxy
yeah. It's like,
of
ooh.
the Empire.
Yeah, like if you're a loyal citizen or
Yeah.
not.
And like if you really didn't understand what they meant by that, Tech even goes, oh, like bonks you on the head with it and is like, it'd make it really easy to keep track of everybody who lives in
Yeah.
the Empire if you have a registry of all of them.
Yeah,
And Echo goes,
some
well,
dark stuff.
Yeah, Echo's like, yeah, it's good to see you think it's a good idea.
Yeah.
Like I like that dynamic between
Mhm.
those two. But the big part for me in the second episode, like we said earlier, was to me definitely Omega and Hunter.
Yeah, they were the heart of that episode.
Yes, like the scene that really made me feel emotional, like, and I don't really get emotional too much from Star Wars because it's Star Wars.
Mm-hmm.
There are some scenes, obviously, like Obi-Wan, Anakin, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But where she goes to get the ball from the fence, right? She's playing with Cut's kids,
yeah.
and she goes to get the ball, and that monster, was that from episode 2?
It's the same thing. The Nexu
That's what I thought.
thing that gave Padme the.
And she went,
It's like the Lego character.
I like how Cut treats the situation. Like she's actually
Yeah.
a child,
Mhm.
and she like cries and everything, and it's like, oh yeah, she was scared. Like she didn't know how dangerous that was, and she was
Yeah.
terrified. Like and that scene, for whatever reason, I just thought was so touching,
Yeah.
because like even for Hunter, you could see he was like, oh, she's not a soldier.
Mm-hmm. And she, that's sort of what gives him the push to be like, it's going to be dangerous for you to be with us. You can't be with us.
Yeah, and then even when he's talking to what's Cut's wife's name? Sue?
I'm not sure.
Is it Sue?
Let me look. I'll look it up. But anyway,
Okay.
continue.
But so when they're talking and Hunter's like, she's not a soldier. I want you guys to take her with, and what's her face? Is it Sue? Oh, I can't go without her name. Let me see. Is it Sue?
Cut's wife's name.
Is it Sue? No way.
Sue. What did
I
you
knew
think
it.
it was?
Sue.
No, you didn't.
I said Sue.
Did you?
I said
when I
Sue.
listen to this, I'll
Okay,
take the clip and put it here.
Yeah.
Right now.
Is it Sue?
Did you actually say Sue?
Yeah, I did.
Think
I don't know
so.
if it was S-U or S-U-E, but I knew it was Sue. I'm a genius.
Anyway.
Anyway, Sue asked Hunter, like, is that what you want? because she can clearly see, like, from the conversations they have, they never say it outright, but she's like, I know you care about Omega. Like, you can tell that Hunter cares about her, you know?
Yeah.
But he wants to do what's best for her, even though you can clearly tell he wants her to be with them, you know? Like, he wants to take care of her or make sure she's safe or whatever. And all that stuff was really good from the second episode of Bad Batch.
I saw some people saying it was filler, but no, this is actually character development. Like they were building the relationships between them. And I mean, I think it was still plot relevant. I mean, they're looking for Rex. This is where they thought he would go.
Yeah, and they bring back a character and like be like, because you know, some people probably would have been like, what happened to Cut after Clone Wars? Like, did he just grow old and die? But it's like, okay, well, he ran away and he's safe.
Yeah, well, I mean, not like a chicken though, not like a coward or anything. You know, it's also just like a side thing I just literally thought of was it's interesting to think that there was a Jedi that died on Seleucamai during Order 66, but I don't think they reference that here, do they? It was Stas Ali, you know, during the montage where she's on the speeder bike.
Yeah. And
those clones like pull back. I think that's on this planet. Yeah, but I don't know if I have too much more to say other than the relationship between Omega and Hunter was very strong. Yes. Do you think they're going to try and pull maybe down the road some type of Mandalorian like goodbye where Hunter has to let her go like a parent would have to let their kid go and be themselves? Or maybe like a Finding Nemo-esque message where he's got to let her be her own person, like maybe he'll become overprotective of her.
I wouldn't mind the overprotective route.
Okay.
I would mind if he let her go like the end of Mandalorian because you've got potential, kid, and it will be wasted with me.
Yeah.
And I'd be like, we did this.
Yeah.
We just did this. But you know, I don't know. How many episodes were in this first season?
I believe people have said 16.
16. Nice. I thought it was gonna be like 8.
Yeah, no, I'd be upset if it was 8.
I guess it depends on how long they plan to keep it going, because like I really don't know what's gonna where they're gonna go. That's I don't know what they're gonna do, and I'm excited to see what they do with the next episode and everything.
I think there was something they said they were gonna become mercenaries, which I think would actually be pretty interesting.
Yeah,
I don't know what's gonna lead them to that. Maybe they need again, like Mandalorian, maybe they need money for the ship and stuff.
Yeah. Cut says an interesting thing where he's I think it's Cut anyway, where Cut's you know, was what are you guys gonna do? I'll give you some advice. Stop being soldiers. Do something else with your life. You know, which is interesting because what are they gonna do? Mercenaries would be cool. It makes sense.
I do feel, I mean, I talked about this on the speculation episode, but I do feel like eventually they're gonna join or create some type of rebellion cell at some point.
I like how nobody is really a liability on the team.
Yes, I can wholeheartedly agree with that.
Yes. Especially in the scene where I wrote that down, I remember they were waiting in line to get on the ship. And they were waiting for Omega to come bring them the access key or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as they find out that as soon as they find out Omega is coming with the access key, Wrecker's on it, immediately puts down his stuff and runs to go find her. And it's okay, he's stupid, but he still knows he's got a responsibility.
They're all efficient at what they need to do. No one's a weak link.
Yes. And then the ending scene with Omega and Hunter just talking on the ship.
Yeah.
That I was oh, this is gonna be a really nice relationship to see evolve as the show goes on, because it's already so intense in episode 2, you know.
Yeah, no, I wonder if the other characters are gonna get somewhat of a similar treatment, if they're gonna be fleshed out in any regard. I don't think Wrecker will. I think he might be the equivalent to Chopper on the show, where everyone else gets a little something of the backstory, you know, in Rebels Sabine did, everyone on the Ghost crew except Chopper. I mean, they gave him a little something where he's he was on a Y-wing in the Battle of Ryloth, and that was really about it.
Okay.
Yeah, okay. But He's the only one that just seems maybe too one note for his own good. You know, a little too dopey. But maybe I'm wrong in thinking maybe they'll have an episode where he and I don't know, like Echo, like land on a planet, and they do like a duo mission for whatever.
Yeah. Well, that's the interesting thing, because like they could do so much with Hunter and Omega. They could do a lot with Echo, I feel like, too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like they hinted at it in the first one where he has like the PTSD thing with the robot.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's got his own issues still, aside from the Bad Batch. So I'm interested to see more of him too. Dude, if they go to Tatooine,
okay, at least from the trailers they haven't done anything Tatooine-esque, but
I'm gonna groan so loud if they just go like
to
stop going to Tatooine. Do something else.
Also, just why is Hunter out in public? He changed his clothes and everything. Didn't change the bandana
or the giant tattoo he's got in his face.
Is that a tattoo or is that paint?
I mean,
if
it was paint, he should have taken it off.
Wiped it off. Like it's not gonna help.
Yeah, he should have worn like a big straw hat like his buddy. What's his name? Flick.
Just wear a helmet. If you got a tattoo, wear like a helmet of some kind. I don't know.
Where's Bad Batch helmet? No one will recognize me.
You should just get Wrecker to do everything. Just be like, coming through. And
yeah, like
kill everybody.
He literally gets shot like 3 times, and he's I'm fine.
No.